Hey, what's up guys? Bryan here. Today I want to talk about shell voicings in its different inversions. This is a follow-up video to the previous one, which talked about just the root position of shell voicings. We did it in major, minor, and dominant forms, and that's what we're going to stick to today. Just a quick recap. We've got G major 7, G dominant 7, and G minor. Okay, why might we want to play inversions? The answer is that we can create more interesting chord movements, right? Instead of just staying in one position all the time. This also links in with walking bass ideas because we can then link the different bass notes together. So let's get started. The first inversion that we're going to play with the G major 7 chord is with the third on the bass, the next chord tone up from the root. You can simply go up the G major scale, 1, 2, 3, G, A, B, and we're going to voice it like this. That's going to give us B, G, and D. Once again, the idea of shell voicing is to play the bottom string and the middle two strings. Okay, I'm aware that it doesn't give us the 7th, but in general it gives us the idea of a major chord sound. You could add the F sharp over here. That will give us the 7th. The next note up in the bass will be D, which is our 5th. 3rd, 4th, 5th, B, C, and then D. And we're going to play it like this. D, B, and F sharp. This is also what's called a rootless voicing because we haven't got the root in this chord. However, we've got the 5th, the 3rd, and the 7th, which is enough to tell us about it. That's all the same chord. And then finally, we've got a less popular one. We've got the 7th on the bass, F sharp, and then we're going to play D and G. This is less popular for two reasons. One is that the 7th on the bass makes it sound unstable compared with 5th on the bass, for example, or the 3rd or the root on the bass. And the second reason is that some people don't really like this interval between the F sharp and the G. The other thing is, just like the 3rd on bass inversion, this chord is lacking in some information in that it's only giving us 7th, 5th, and root. So in order to add the 3rd in, we'll have to play the B over here. We can simply go through the same method as we did when learning the shell voicings, even in the root position, by comparing one chord to another. For example, the major 7 chord with the dominant 7 chord. There's one note difference, and that is the 7th is flattened in the dominant chord. The rest are the same, 1, 3, 5. What we have to do is basically find where the 7th is in all of our G major shapes, and then just flatten that from the F sharp into an F natural. So over here, we flatten the F sharp. Over here, right, this is where I said this chord can be ambiguous because it's just giving us 1, 3, 5. It could be a major chord or it could be a dominant chord. The only way to distinguish that would be to play an F rather than an F sharp. Up in the 5th on bass position, our pinky's on the F sharp, let's make it an F natural. it's useful to note that our root note is just right next to the 5th on the 5th string over here, right? Which is why you'll hear some bossa nova Latin type of music with its root and 5th exchange in the bass. And finally, up at the 7th on bass, we're just going to make it a flat 7 on bass. Okay, but once again, this could be a minor chord because we've not given it a third. If we make it a third, if we add a third, which is the B, this is the G dominant chord. And lastly, we've got the G minor 7 chord, and we can find that by flattening the third of the dominant chord. Okay, so we get 1, flat third, 5th, and flat 7. Over here, the dominant chord, we can flatten the B down to a B flat. With the third on bass, we can do the flat third on bass instead. So B flat. Okay, again, we wouldn't be wrong in thinking that it's a normal G minor chord because we've not added the 7th. If we wanted to add the 7, you've got the F over here. And then over here, you can flatten the B down to a B flat. And some of these inversions are very useful for adding extensions onto them. So for example, over here, I can add the A note, which is the 9th, to make it a G minor 9 with my pinky. Right? Probably the least popular shape, or the least popular inversion out of the 4 is this one, because we've got F, D, G, and then we have to play a B flat. So that means we'll have to rearrange our fingers to this. It's still a good idea to learn these shapes though, as it opens up our awareness of the fretboard and the different shapes. So to put it into context, we can give a little example of, let's say, a 2-5-1 in the key of F. Okay, so G minor, C7, F major. Rather than changing the bass all the time, which is pretty standard sounding, we can now keep the bass as G, even in the C7. So we're playing C7, but with the 5th on the bass, like this. Okay, so the whole sound will go. Rather than. Okay, it might sound more ambiguous, more mysterious. And rather than go down to the F major in root position, we can go up to the 3rd on bass. Right? And we can keep practicing this all the way up in the different inversions. For example, we've got a G minor over here, and we can play it all in root positions first. And then trying to keep all the bass notes on the 6th string. So where possible, we're going to play inversions. 5th on bass, 5th on bass again. Okay, just compare those. A very important time to use this would be if I was playing with no bassist. Let's say I'm playing all by myself, perhaps, or just with another guitarist or singer. Then I would have to cover all the bass notes. I would have to cover the lower register of the sound, right? So rather than that being the lowest note, I could now afford to go down to its fifth. So that's about it for today. Let me know what you think. I hope you found this useful. If you've gotten something out of it, please subscribe to my channel and share this video as well to someone who you think might benefit from it. Cheers.